What's going on, party people? Welcome back to Fantasy Sports Consulting. I'm your host, Ryan Kostrowski. We are here today. I was just doing some conversations via Twitter with a young gentleman who had some questions, and it inspired me to make this quick video. What I'm here today is I want to go through some of the terms or maybe some of the abbreviations that you get playing daily fantasy sports. Now, a lot of you probably know all these, and if you've been cleaning up playing DFS for the last 3 years, all this is going to be reviewed to you. But for some of you, fringe players or newer players, some of this might help. Maybe you were always too scared to ask somebody because you didn't really know. So we're going to get into a handful of those. Before that, though, guys, if you're running into this video for the first time, my name's Ryan. I do full-time DFS consulting and advice giving. If you want more videos, easiest way to get them is just press subscribe. Go ahead, look at the description section of the video too. You can follow me on Twitter, like my Facebook page. Basically, I spend 16 hours a day watching sports or giving sports advice. So I like to think I at least have a little clue what I'm talking about. And also, before I get into the actual terms today, I want to say something. For you newer players, what I'm about to answer, these aren't dumb questions. These are things that everybody had to learn at one point or the other, and they probably heard and maybe didn't understand until they went and looked them up or heard from somebody else. So they're not dumb questions, and hopefully I can help you guys learn some of them. There are dumb questions, though, and I will tell you that I get tons of them every single day. What I consider a dumb question is stuff that you can look up on your own simply by using Google. It takes you just as much effort to go to Facebook or Twitter and ask me a question as it does to Google, what is the weather like in Baltimore? Those are dumb questions. These are not. These are things you got to learn. So, again, if you're not new to DFS, if you've been playing for a while, this is all going to be review. You can sign off right now. But if there's some terms maybe you didn't understand, hopefully that can help. All right. DFS terms, cash game. I just got this one. That's why it's the first one I'm going to talk about. I believe his name is Jason. We were just talking via Twitter over this. A cash game is going to be your head-to-head, basically you one-on-one with another opponent, a 50-50 where top half gets most of their money back or doubles, or comes close to doubling up. Double up where little less than half the field doubles their money. Those are your cash games. What you're looking for in those is going to be your more consistent players, somebody you can trust. If you play NBA, if you want to go look at some guys, go look at Robert Covington and go look at Cody Zeller. Those are two guys who of recent memory, have tended to perform day in and day out. Those are some of the safer cash game picks. Not as sexy, but can typically get you a relatively safe floor. Now, GPP is going to be your guaranteed prize pool. Otherwise known as tournaments. Anything with, tons of players where the vast majority of the money goes to the top few places, or even like your triple ups or something like that can be semi-considered a GPP or a cash game, depending how you look at it. But anything that is tournament where more of the money goes directly to the top, that's going to be your GPP. What you need in there is higher upside, guys. You got to take more risk. You got to take more gambles. And guaranteed prize pool is what it stands for, in case you were wondering. But just think of it as a tournament. In those, you really need to beat 95% of the field. If it's just your goal to beat 80% of the field and finish in the money, you might as well stick to double ups. You got to go for the guts, though, to really win some money. And if you win one or two or get some high finishes a couple times a year, you can end up being profitable, but you got to actually get those finishes, which is not as easy to do. All right, next up, the term fade. Most of you have probably heard of it. Most of you probably know what it is. But if you don't, fade means basically don't play the guy. For example, tonight I'm going to fade Russell Westbrook because he's at Memphis, which is typically a tough place to play. He's Russell Westbrook, so I'm sure he could probably be okay. But I am going to fade him, which means not play him, go a different route. All right. Next up, stack. You can stack a game, a team from a specific game or whatever it might be. In NFL, one common stack for GPPs is people using the quarterback wide receiver combo. For example, heading into week 17 of NFL, you may want to look at stacking Aaron Rodgers and Jordy Nelson. Makes a lot of sense in a GPP. In cash games, it's not a requirement or a necessity to stack games, but that's something people use a lot in GPP. In MLB, game stacks are very, very popular, and it's a great way to try to get big output for an MLB lineup. You can do it in any sport, but if you heard the term stack, just think you're thinking a set of players from a specific game or team that you feel could do well. DFS, Daily Fantasy Sports. This applies to DraftKings, FanDuel, Yahoo, wherever you play, Aces, anything like that. You probably know what it means already, but DFS is Daily Fantasy Sports. All right, ceiling or floor. Now, when I talk about DeMar DeRozan tonight, for example, I think has a floor of 35 points, which means to me, in my mind, I truly have trouble envisioning a scenario where he doesn't score at least 35 points. To me, that's his bare minimum. Ceiling, what's his maximum upside? Tonight, DeMar DeRozan has a ceiling of 62 DraftKings points, for example. I doubt he gets that high, but you know what I'm talking about at this point, kind of a maximum output of what you could expect. All right, here's one I don't get to use a lot, specifically because I'm really too busy at the end of the day helping people than I am to really try to pick these things out or look for them, but it's the term overlay. And that's essentially when a GPP does not fill all the way, but because of the rules, the website you play on is still required to pay out the number of prizes or what it was supposed to. This is a good way to make some good money if you have time to look for this stuff. I know people in my groups who pay attention to stuff like this and use it to their advantage. I'm not one of them just because I don't have time, but that doesn't mean I don't think it's not a great idea for you to do it. I just, doing this full time, don't have the abilities to really pay attention to this stuff. So overlay, you might get a note. I get them from Fantasy Alarms sometimes saying this specific tournament's got some serious chances for overlay, which means that they still have to pay the same prizes, but with a smaller field, your odds of making the money are better. Ratio, also called value sometimes by me. And if you don't understand this one, guys, it's the big reason you're not winning playing DFS. It's the biggest reason. This is like the keyest thing to understand is ratio. Now, I go back and I can think of times last year where I'd get some of my customers be talking about, oh man, Westbrook's killing it tonight. And then I look and he scored 55 points off of a salary of 10-2. That ain't killing it, guys. That's just a ratio of just above 5. In NBA, you are looking for a ratio of 5 or better in cash games, and within your GPPs, generally 6 or better. Now, when I say ratio, think of a guy tonight that's priced at, let's say, 10K for easy math. With LeBron priced right around 10K, 50 points would be a ratio of 5. 60 points would be a ratio of 6. That's the way you look at it, guys. It's what you get points per dollar, basically, is where you need to get your value from. Typically, on your lower cost guys, a 5 ratio isn't as impressive as it is. Whereas if you got a guy for 11K and he gives you a ratio of 5, you're generally pretty happy with that. But on the lower guys, you'd like a little better, but still won't kill you with the lower one. But understand your ratios. DFS is all about a ratio. Also called value a lot. I call it value all the time, but just understand what it means. All right, studs and duds, stars and scrubs, studs and scrubs. There's a million different ways to talk about this. But this is when the studs of the night, i.e., your Westbrooks, your Hardens, in football, Le'Veon Bell or a David Johnson, are in key spots and are going to return a real nice ratio. So you want to load up on studs, but you also need some scrubs in order to take away some of your salary cap because you got too much money going to other players. So you've probably heard those terms before. If you didn't understand it, that's what it means. All right, next on is one that I use a lot that I guess I've been doing this for so long. Sometimes I forget that if you've only been playing this sporadically for a couple of months, you may not know all these things because you got to learn stuff to understand them, right? Exposure. That is how much money or what percentage of your money you have exposed to a certain guy. For example, 2 weeks ago, my clients and I cleaned up playing NFL because I had full exposure to Ty Montgomery when he had a monster game. 3 weeks ago, my clients and I cleaned up because I had 100% exposure to Le'Veon Bell. Even though half the field had him, I had him in every contest, so that worked out well. Last night, I had full exposure to Serge Ibaka. It was a big reason that I won in quite a few of my contests. So exposure means how much of this person do you have in your contest. Now, if you only set one contest, who gives a shit, right? It doesn't matter to you. But if you're somebody like me who sets 5+ different lineups tonight, you talk about exposure and what percentage you have. So I hope any of this helps, guys. Like I said, if you're an experienced DFS vet, this probably meant nothing to you. But for some of you newer or fringe players, maybe that brought something to the table. I don't know. Who knows? Hopefully it was fun either way, right, guys? All right. Thanks a lot. Subscribe to this channel if you want more DFS info. And if you want to start kicking some more ass at DFS, just get on the team, guys. I'm here to help. All right. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.